Welcome to the Super Expander Podcast. My name is Corrine Phelps, your host. I'm a business and growth coach, money mindset expert, and a multi-passionate entrepreneur. My journey has taken me all over, from working in finance to owning a boutique fitness studio. I found myself burnt out, miserable, and questioning everything. Saying things to myself like, there's got to be more to life than this. Refusing to settle for a mediocre existence, I went all in, learning how to harness untapped potential and rewire the subconscious mind to create an extraordinary life. The last 10 years have been a crash course in self-love, building a business, creating community, building wealth, and doing what it takes to just freaking go for it. My mission is to help you align to your purpose, rewire your subconscious to support your big dreams and vision, and create a life that you're absolutely obsessed with. So sit back, tune in, and prepare to expand. Hello, Super Expanders. How are you, my loves? How are you? So I have been really racking my brain about what it was that I was going to sit down and record for you, because I really want to make sure that these solo sessions that I do for you are just packed with value and vulnerability and a real sharing. And it landed for me today that there was something really, really important that we should talk about. And it's zone of genius versus zone of excellence. And so what brought me to wanting to talk about this is a couple things. I was on a call with a client recently, and I asked her if she knew what her talents and gifts were. What are your talents and gifts? And let me give you a little bit of context. She is a very high performer. She is the CEO of a very successful tech company. And when I asked her this question, she was stumped. And we sat in silence for a few minutes, and she came back. She said, I don't know what they are. And I found it very hard to believe that someone could arrive at the stage of her career that she's in, operating very successfully, doing big things, and not know what her talents and gifts and her zone of genius was. So I thought this was really, really important to talk about, to share with you, because from that place, I actually started really to think about what my talents and gifts are, what my zone of genius are. And I started having conversations with a few more clients, and I thought, this is really, really important. This is important things to talk about, because when I said that, you squirmed a little bit. You squirmed when I said, do you know what your talents and gifts are? So I want you to really think about that for a moment. I want you to think, do you know what your talents and gifts are? And are you operating in your zone of genius? Let that land, let that sink in. And I'm just going to explain to you what the difference between operating in your zone of genius is versus your zone of excellence. And a lot of us are operating in our zone of excellence. So your zone of excellence is the zone where you're doing something that you are very, very good at compared to other people. And this thing could be earning you a lot of money. It could, to the outside people, spectators, look that you are operating in your zone of genius, but it does not light you up. It could even cause a lot of pressure and drain and exhaustion for you. Your zone of genius. When you are in your zone of genius, you are able to enter into flow state. And flow state is something that all high performers have the ability to drop into. They have the ability to access it. And flow state really basically means that you are operating in your zone of genius, but you're doing something, and essentially time evaporates or stands still. Like, you could do this thing for hours on hours and it wouldn't feel like work. It just would, and it would light you up to boot. So after hours and hours of working on this, you wouldn't feel drained. The results that come from this it's a product, a performance, some sort of thing that you do that really is just so, so good. And oftentimes, when we're working in our zone of genius, we don't even know that it's our zone of genius, because it's in this place that's almost like you have this unfair advantage doing this thing, but you have no idea that it doesn't come as easily to others as it comes to you. So operating in your zone of excellence, there's nothing wrong with that, but the real problem becomes when our zone of excellence starts to block us from living in our zone of genius. There is something so, so freeing and so liberating when you begin to realize that you don't have to do something just because you are good at it. So it doesn't mean that you need to stay operating in your zone of excellence. This is an invitation to truly step into your zone of genius. And when you step into your zone of genius, this is truly when we are in our purpose. And when we're in our purpose, this is where the magic happens. This is where the impact that we desire to create in the world, the legacy that we want to leave, the income that we desire to make, that's when all of this comes together and fuses together and creates such magic. So I firmly believe that when we start to live and operate in our zone of genius, this is truly the missing piece. Finding your talents and gifts, knowing what they are. This is the missing piece to true alignment, to stepping into abundance and ease. You will hear that idea of let it feel easy, or that it doesn't take a lot of energy and work to make a lot of money. Well, the people that say that really know and have embodied this piece of truly knowing what their zone of genius is, what their talents and gifts are, and making it a top priority to operate and live from that place. I have a question for you. Have you joined the Super Expander free mentorship community? If not, what are you waiting for? Stop what you're doing right now and text the word mentor to 202-918-3235. Text the word mentor to 202-918-3235. I send out weekly tips and inspiration to help you grow your business, to step into your wealthiest, most highest self, to harness your full potential and live an exceptional and extraordinary life. And the best part is, it's really me sending those messages. So text me, say hello, and send me your questions. So what I thought I would do today, this is probably going to be like a multi-series podcast episode, like one of two or one of three. I'm not really sure exactly yet, but this is just the first part of another episode or two that's going to help you hone in on your talents and gifts, hone in on your zone of genius. And I want to keep it short because what I really think is important is these like bite-sized pieces where you can walk away, do some of the work, explore, sit with it, breathe on it, and then let the insights and the clarity come through, and then take on this next piece. So what I'm going to give with you, or what I'm going to go through with you right here, is a few questions that you can start to ponder and wonder on, to start to unravel and connect with what your true zone of genius is, what your gifts and talents are. And these questions, I did not make them up myself. I pulled them from The Big Leap. by Gay Hendricks. And this book was truly a game changer for me in really connecting with what my true zone of genius is. And it's so funny because the process, it was just felt so good to go through. So we're going to start with just the first question. And what I want you to do as you think about this question, just take a big, deep breath in. Exhale out. Allow yourself to connect with your body. Allow yourself to let any judgment leave and just be open, and don't try to force it. The moment we try to force finding an answer, the more it evades us. So the first question I want you to consider: what do you most love to do? There's no rules, there's no parameters around this. What do you most love to do? Doesn't necessarily have to be at work. It can be at work. But what do you just most love to do in life, in business? What is it? You can do this thing for long stretches of time, and time just melts away. And as you think about this question, just pay attention to the sensations that you feel in your body. And if an answer doesn't come through right away, don't judge it. Just allow that seed to be planted. So I'll share with you mine. I love being creative. And it really doesn't matter in what context. It could be sitting on Canva, making a slide for Instagram or for a presentation. It could be creating something in the kitchen. It could be putting an outfit together. I love the creative process, especially on like a design aspect. I love brainstorming. I love ideating, anything that allows me to really almost problem solve, essentially. I love solving problems. And then the next question I want you to just allow yourself to explore is: what work do you do that doesn't feel like work? So it's taking that what you love and peeling back the layer a little bit deeper. So what work do you do that doesn't feel like work? You could do it all day long and never get tired. Sometimes when we are in this place, the thought will come through that this is why I do what I do. For instance, inside of my business, when I see a client acting intuitively, they feel the connection to their intuition, and then they execute. They take intuitive action and they trust themselves when they do it. That is like one of the things I'm like, yes, this really, really lights me up. And I can see it happening when I'm inside of a coaching session, when they find the answers for themselves. And question number 3, in your work, what produces the highest ratio, the highest rate of abundance and fulfillment? And as you think about this and you come up and across the answer for this, the answer to this question truly needs to be the thing that becomes your top priority every day, the non-negotiable. For instance, for me, it's time and space to brainstorm, to be creative. And there was a time in my business and in my life that I really didn't make time for that. I stacked my schedule so tight. There was no space in the morning. There was no space in the evening. And by the time the day was done, I was so exhausted. And I hid behind the excuse that I just didn't have time, that the things that I wanted to do, I could do them, I could achieve them if only I had enough time. But the problem was, is I was not prioritizing them. I wasn't creating space for them. So for you to truly live in your genius, you must make time and space an absolute priority for the thing that is your talent, your gift. And this last question really is the thing that like brings it all home. And when you put it all together, it truly starts to become very apparent and clear what your zone of genius really is, what your talents are. So the last question is, what is your unique and innate ability? What is that special gift that only you have within you? And when fully realized, the work that you provide in your own life, in your own business, or for another company or another business is just so profound. Oftentimes, this particular thing is camouflaged as a skill within a skill within a skill. So you have to really start to peel back the layers. So inside of this, a couple ways to answer this question would be to start with, I'm at my best when, and you fill in the blank. You're at your best when. And then when you come up with that answer, when I'm at my best, what is the exact thing that you're doing? And fill in the blank there. And then, last piece, when you're at your best doing that thing, what do you love most about it? And fill in the blank there. And as you begin to start to answer all of these questions, so much clarity and insight is going to start to take hold. I would love for you to, if you're open to sharing, letting me know how this process worked for you, what you came up with, and really what sort of next steps you're going to take. And shoot me a message on Instagram. My handle is at Corene, Corene.Phelps, Phelps. And of course, it's in the show notes for your ease. You can just click on it, slide on over to my DMs and let me know there what you came up with from this exercise. And then of course, stay tuned because this is the first of a multi-level episode, one helping you really discover what your zone of genius is. If you like what you heard, stop, drop, and leave a 5-star review and hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And as always, sharing is caring, so snap a pic and share this episode with another super expander.